You are listening live to the Schwartz & Associates Injury Lawyers Legal Power Hour on this Monday, February the 24th, as Lance goes back to the traditional intro music.
I didn't want to throw anybody off on the intro. I want everybody to know we're listening to the Schwartz Legal Power Hour.
I appreciate that. So we appreciate everyone listening this morning, as you've got a fabulous team on the radio dial. So I'm hosting Patrick Wooten. We got Senior Associate Cooper Miles. We got Zach Harper, one of the fresh faces at the firm, and we've got the man, the myth, the legend, Richard Schwartz, on the telephone as always, as he is out of town today, but can't stay away from the radio show. So good morning to you, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning. So we were talking about the weekend, so a chilly, rainy weekend, so hopefully it'll get better. But I was channel surfing, so I'm throwing this out there because I was channel surfing last night and came across wrestling. I didn't watch wrestling, but I saw wrestling was on, so it made me think, was wrestling ever in your wheelhouse as a guilty pleasure as a teenager, college student? You may still be into it, Cooper, for all we know. And it made me think of the couple times that I have been to live wrestling shows. One, when it was WWF, before they got sued by the World
Wildlife Federation.
Yeah, that's right, and had to change to WWE. And this is in the 80s. So saw Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
There you go.
Saw the Iron Sheik. That was actually up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And then also got to see WCW, the old school, the Rock and Roll Express, the Italian Stallion, Dusty Rhodes, all those.
What about the Junkyard Dog?
I was going to say, JYD was my favorite.
What about Kamala, the guy from Senatobia?
Interesting. Did not realize that.
Yeah.
And then, so in Hampton, Virginia. But, the Rock and Roll Express, my dad took me to that show. But I worked at McDonald's. So that's the other caveat we can go to is down the road is I worked at the McDonald's close to the Hampton Coliseum and saw the show one night, and then the next day I'm working, and in comes the Italian Stallion and ordered food from the counter. So it was
nice.
It's kind of I was like, wait, I saw you last night. And
you're body slamming people.
That's right. But it's quite interesting. You go back, and Richard, you know how wrestling is in the Super Bowl 2024 commercial. You're coming off the top turnbuckle.
Man, that was tough to do.
Yeah, that ring did not have much give. That's what I recall. But so
that wasn't a green screen.
Yeah,
that was real.
That was real. Yep. But so, were any of y'all wrestling aficionados, or are you still wrestling aficionados?
I don't know that I would go with aficionado, but I did enjoy some wrestling on Sundays after church. There was Kung Fu Theater was on, and then wrestling, and there was the Hulk Hogan cartoon, Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling.
I love that cartoon.
Right?
I love
it. It is so good. But and every now and then, I'll like you said, guilty pleasure, turn it on. Ric Flair came to the Comic-Con that's held here every year a few years ago. I think he wasn't planned, but his daughter is a wrestler. And
Charlotte Flair, I didn't know that.
She was wrestling at the Coliseum, so he came and decided, I can make a little change and set up a booth in the corner. So, yes, I have a picture with myself and Ric Flair on my phone.
I got to meet Stone Cold Steve Austin in the airport. It was when I was playing baseball at Ole Miss, and we were flying back from a tournament. And I noticed him. Nobody else recognized him. And I was like, that's Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
And he took a picture of the whole team. Coolest guy ever.
Yeah.
He was jacked.
Yeah.
And he wasn't anybody you wanted to mess with.
Yeah. Of course, the $1 Million Man lives in Clinton. I've been on lots of airplane flights with Ted DiBiase over the last few years and say hello to him, and he's always been very pleasant, just saying hello back and so forth. But what about you? You're the young one here, Zach.
I was obsessed with it from about 10 to 15. So Undertaker, Stone Cold, The Rock, that generation.
Mm-hmm.
But and Mississippi Comic-Con almost always has a wrestler.
Or 2 or 3 or 4.
That's right. The Rock, I will say, had some of the best mic skills for sure, is what he could do. What about you, Richard? Were you ever into wrestling?
Yeah, but my guys are a lot older than these guys. Mine was a spoiler, Cowboy via Watts, Waldo Van Erich, they're old wrestlers back in the day, and y'all talking about other wrestlers. I never seen these younger people. I never seen the wrestlers that you're talking about, but I did enjoy wrestling at one time when I was young.
Waldo Van Erich.
Where's Waldo? Is that where they
Waldo Von Erich?
Yeah.
But wasn't the Von Erichs were a huge wrestling family? I do know that. And it's funny you say that, Richard. I guess that's Mose, or maybe Moose. Mose on the C Spire text line said, "Don't forget Cowboy Bill Watts." So you and Mose are right in the same wheelhouse, Richard, and we appreciate him texting in on a C Spire text line at 601.
My same age as me.
Yeah, 879-4395. But I mean, the point is, everyone's like, "Oh, it's entertainment." Those guys get hurt. From Richard doing that Super Bowl commercial in 2024. I know how hard that ring was because we were up there and there was not any padding to that ring, and just watching those moves. Those guys like, good Lord, I wouldn't be able to move after that. Right. It's just brutal. So we're
glad you made it through it, Richard.
Oh yeah. I only got a couple of bruises, but I'm fine.
That's right.
Actually, actually what was amazing is that the guy that got jumped on, I asked him. I said, "How does it feel to get jumped on?" Because he had to do it about 8 times to get it right. He said it feels like a Mack truck hitting you every time. But he got up and walked around. It was amazing. It's amazing. I have new respect for. I know wrestling is stage. I understand that, but it is still. You got to take some shocks and really take some hits. It's pretty amazing that they can do it day to day.
Yeah,
pretty amazing.
Yeah, the guy, the wrestler, those were real wrestlers that were in that commercial. That one guy ended up getting an elbow. Next thing we know, his lips just bleeding, everywhere after one of the takes back up there. So
he shouldn't have talked so much smack to Richard.
That's right. Big Insurance just talking about Richard had to show him who was boss. That's exactly right. So, but and we appreciate everyone who's chiming in again on the C Spire text line 601-879-4395. You can also call us if you want to talk wrestling or anything else on the SuperTalk call line 888-808-8637. Here's a couple others have come in. Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
That was my guy.
He carried the 2x4.
That's right. I remember.
Yep.
American Dream.
And then the Grappler, and of course, American Dream. Dusty Rhodes is there. Of course, Jerry the King Lawler. I think he was from Memphis.
Memphis guy.
Yeah, and that's a couple more. Jerry Lawler, Dusty Rhodes had the great gift of gab. They talked so much trash. It was interesting. Then someone says, remember when Trump body slammed McMahon? I remember he did participate in a WrestleMania, many years ago. I remember that.
Shaved his head.
Yeah. Oh, he did? I don't remember that.
McMahon's head.
I would say I never did buy one of the pay-per-views. I was never that committed to actually pay.
The Tower of Power and the cage matches and all that.
I do think some of those steel cage matches and no disqualification matches and they're hitting them with a chair. And I understand there's a science to it, but
no, thank you.
Yeah, I'll pass.
Yeah, the science is being tough.
Yeah.
The guy taking that blow.
We forgot about one of the greatest wrestlers of all, Ivan Putski.
Who the heck is
What's that? Who's this again?
Ivan Putski?
He come over from Russia?
That's right.
Polish Power. Polish Power. That was what he goes by.
I like it. I like
Ivan Putski.
Oh, there it is. The Polish Power, Ivan Putski. He was born January 21st, 1941 is what he is. So he took a hiatus from wrestling in 1986 is what you got, before Zach was even born.
See, all of them have come, now they're all like models that are all jacked up, but back then, like Hacksaw Jim Duggan was like the guy off the street.
Right.
He pulled him off the construction site. He brought his 2x4 with him, his hammer. That guy could wrestle.
And the American flag.
And the American flag, exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting. The
Andre the Giant.
I love
Andre. Him.
Yeah.
Roddy Ryder.
So here you go.
Piper.
So the Polish Power's last high-profile feud was in 1984 with Jesse Ventura. The former governor of Minnesota. That's right. Went on to go from wrestling to be the governor of Minnesota, which is pretty crazy.
Apparently, there's an Igor Putski also.
Okay, gotcha. I mean, we have hit a thing because the
Gold
texts are just streaming in with people talking about their favorite
Who
wrestler.
doesn't want to talk about wrestling? Come on now.
I mean, I understand. It's. I think every boy goes through it at some point.
Kane, the wrestler with the mask,
Yes.
he's the mayor in Tennessee.
Yeah, that is true. I do remember that. So it is funny how you've now taken these wrestlers, have gone on in politics. I mean, you think about The Rock enacting, John Cena enacting, Stone Cold's been an actor. I mean, Andre the Giant was in the comedy,
The Princess Bride.
The Princess Bride. Thank you, and did a great job in that movie. Well, you were listening. You were
Anybody
listening.
want a peanut?
That's right. You're listening to Schwartz and Associates Injury Lawyers Legal Power Hour, and we'll be right back. Here on the Schwartz and Associates Injury Lawyers Legal Power Hour, and clearly our listeners love wrestling because the texts have just continued to pour in on the C Spire text line 601-879-4395, or you can always give us a call on SuperTalk call line 888-808-8637. We actually have gotten a couple legal texts, Richard, so it's not just all about wrestling, although we're going to go through this list as time allows. But we did get a text in, and someone was asking us, what is the latest on the Camp Lejeune cases, Richard?
There's been some little movement as far as negotiations are concerned. There is a trial that'll be this year. I don't know the exact date. It's going to be tried in North Carolina. But there has been some movement as far as negotiations. Nothing is finalized at this point. But I do think those cases are going to be worth a lot more money than people think. And I think everyone that signed up and got involved, of course, it's too late to do it now.
Mm-hmm.
You missed it. But everyone who did it, got involved in it, I think will be very happy when the settlement hits. Because I do believe there will be a settlement. I mean, the government has admitted fault. And even though they're going into trial with experts trying to say there's no link between these cancers, even though the government has admitted fault, that's going to be interesting before a court. So we'll see how that turns out. But I definitely think that as we get closer to trial, there'll be another settlement round or attempt. And it may be that they may have to go to trial to see what the value really is on these cases. So, and that trial should be this year. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's moving in the right way. It's right. I think there's going to be a lot of money paid to the people who joined into our group.
Okay. And then 3M earplugs, we do know that settlement was reached there, and payments are going out in stages. So people, have already gotten paid in the last month or so, or can expect to be paid over the course of the remainder of this year. Isn't that correct?
Yes. So the way they did it, they broke it down in stages, just like you said. Some took quick money, some had to bring in proof to get more money, and there's also an enhancement group where people who get money also will get an enhancement penalty or enhancement payment. All that's probably not going to finish until next year, would be my guess. But they are paying out. In fact, you got a payment yourself.
I did.
Regional military.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I did.
So So definitely it's moving forward. I'd say it's about a little bit past halfway done at this point.
Okay, perfect. So thought about this. I woke up Saturday morning, my neighbor's house had been TP'd. So they'd gotten toilet papered. So it made me just think, because that's the first time they've been toilet papered. There's a neighbor up the street that I swear they've been hit like 6 or 7 times over the course of about the last year and a half. But could you get in trouble? Could you actually have charges brought against you for toilet papering somebody's house? And according to Google, you could. It could potentially be malicious mischief that you could be charged with for toilet papering somebody's house. So as I look at Cooper, who clearly has a look of, I've toilet papered a person's house or two in my lifetime,
I might have also been convicted of malicious mischief, but I won't confirm or deny that.
Yep.
No, I got a text from a friend earlier with his favorite wrestlers, and I love you, Elton. I've rolled his house as a child, but it was a fun thing as a kid. Like, you weren't over there to try to harm the property or do something. But yeah, technically, we would go roll each other's houses and do things like that. We didn't destroy any property or people would throw eggs. Eggs can damage paint. We didn't.
You weren't forking the yards.
We didn't fork the yards. You just. I think Elton would tell you he got paid to clean it up, so he was like, come on back.
All right, well, you're looking innocent over there, Zach.
Oh, no, I don't remember ever toilet papering a house.
No.
But, I also lived, way out in the woods, so, all the houses were super far away from everybody.
Yeah.
So, would have been difficult to do.
I can remember the last time I did. I only did a couple of houses, but I can remember my alma mater, Appalachian State University. Back in the day, we were 1AA, but we would play Wake Forest every year in football, and we actually were playing at Wake Forest, and we beat them. So we stormed the field at the opponent's game. So stormed the field because we beat them. And then for some reason we got the wild hair that we went and bought toilet paper, and we toilet papered their sign and their administration building that evening.
That's a pastime at Auburn, so
that's
right.
Toomer's Corner, which is a cool tradition. That is a really cool tradition there. But that's the last time I can remember. It wasn't even a house; it was the administration building at Wake Forest University is what I toilet papered.
I kind of want to go roll somebody's house now.
The statute of limitations will apply once you do that.
That's right.
Moving forward, you're out of the woods now, though. So,
yeah, I'm good since it's been almost 40 years since I did it. So that statute's long. What about you, Richard? You're kind of a Boy Scout. Did you ever toilet paper anyone's house?
No, what a waste of toilet paper.
There he is.
There's the man we all love.
I just, for nostalgia's sake,
there you
Richard,
go.
I'll go buy a Huffy, get a backpack full of toilet paper, and just go roll somebody's house this weekend.
That's right. So
I took you as a Schwinn man.
Think as an adult, you get in a lot more trouble than as a child doing it. So I would not suggest it.
That's right. A little different. So, but I will say my neighbor did a great job because they had it cleaned up, other than one way high in a tree. And now, of course, it's rained, which makes it miserable. That's the thing. If you want to do it, and you really want to be rude, is do it right before it rains, because then it's no fun whatsoever. But yeah, they got it all up. I do laugh. I think he actually made his 16-year-old daughter, because I think that's why they got rolled, and her friend clean it up Saturday morning, which was pretty funny, which I thought. So pretty interesting there. If you want to join us, you can talk about that. You can continue to text in with wrestlers on the C Spire text line at 601-879-4395, or give us a call on the SuperTalk call line 888-808-8637. Was going back and just kind of looking through our social media, and it's just general questions that seem to get asked to us pretty regularly. So I'll throw them out there to y'all to answer. And, of course, one that we see on our firm's Facebook page, or people that will just send in on our chat system, is how long will my case take? I mean, so what would your all's kind of standard response be when you get a brand new client and you're having that initial call with them, and you're going to, how long is this going to take? What do you say?
It depends. That's, a law degree is an expensive 3-year program to tell people it depends to a lot of things. But it does. Again, injuries, treatment. There's a process that you have to go through, and of course, finding the insurance companies, getting the accident report, getting liability established. Then the majority of the time is, frankly, the person getting the treatment that they need, because we don't want to shortchange anybody's claim, and the only way to make sure that you make a full recovery for what you've gone through or what you may go through for a long time is to have the treatment you need, and either get better or get as good as you're going to be. And then once you've reached that level, now we can try to make a claim with the insurance company. So how long does that take? How long did it take you to recover from your injury? Mm-hmm. Or again, to have a doctor say, this is as good as it's going to get. That would be my response.
Yep.
That is almost my exact response.
Yeah.
If people really push me for an answer, if it's a case where there's not devastating injuries, maybe 6 months to a year, if they just really push for an answer. But the real answer is it depends.
Yeah. and I know what my stories I've always said over the years is, in theory, we're putting together an upside-down jigsaw puzzle is what we're doing. So we're trying to flip all those pieces over and complete the picture to ultimately show that to the insurance company. And so needless to say, it takes a while to do a jigsaw puzzle. And if you leave one piece out, if you leave out the lost wages piece, the person may not get fully compensated. Or if they start missing treatment, they cut their treatment off short. And so you take that piece out. You're not presenting the full picture to the insurance company. It's kind of how I've thought of after all these years. So that's one. All right, another one. I was in a car wreck. My doctor says he doesn't handle car wreck cases and won't see me.
Unfortunately,
well, that's easy. We can help you find a doctor.
Yep.
Yeah, if it becomes necessary, we'll get you a doctor that will treat you because, just because you don't have health insurance or you don't have your family doctor won't treat you, you still have pain. You still got to go and figure out what's going on, and we'll set all that up for you. If you call us at 601 or 662-9908, we'll have a doctor for you. We'll direct you in the right direction.
Okay, good answer. Anything to add real quick as we go to the break, Cooper?
Well, let's let these people go to the break and stew on that one.
That's right, exactly.
Wisdom from Richard.
You are listening to the Schwartz & Associates Injury Lawyers Legal Power Hour, and we'll be right back after these messages. Associates Injury Lawyers Legal Power Hour, as we've talked wrestling and TPing houses, and we're answering kind of the common legal questions. But we did get a text in during the break, Richard, that says, what is happening with the PFAS cases? And I know we have been involved in those and got some signed up. So what's the update there?
There's been some negotiation going on and so people will know PFAS is the forever chemical that was created by certain companies like 3M and DuPont and other companies where it gets in the water system and you drink the water and there's certain cancers linked to drinking of that water, and those are damage claims against those companies. They have settled with the cities and, for putting filters into all the city waterways. They think they have a filter that can get them out. Whether it works or not, I don't know. But then they've got all this litigation going on with these individual cancers. I do believe there will be a settlement probably sometime later this year, my opinion. And if not, there will be a case probably tried in 26. But I think the company understands the liability, and they're going to reach a settlement to try to wipe out their cost of litigation because they're liable for it no matter what. So I think there will be a settlement sometime this year.
Yeah, and I think we remember when you and I were heavily involved in these. We got involved last year. It's like 48% of water systems across the U.S. are polluted with these PFAS chemicals. So it's something that affects every one of us and everyone who's listening on this show. There's more likely than not your water system is polluted. So there's individual claims, there's city, county, municipality claims that are out there as well. But it is definitely something that's a little scary.
Firefighters with the foam have claims. The fire foam. What are the cancers linked to the water? I cannot remember.
That's what I was trying to look back. I know I think it was kidney. It was bladder cancer, I believe, was
liver. Right? Was one.
Yeah, liver was one for sure. I know there's one more. I think testicular may be the other one that I'm thinking of. So is where we are.
And I think a colon. There's a colon element too. It's not cancer. It's colon something else.
Yeah, it is. It's
I
just
can't remember.
Yep. Well, we can talk about.
But all you got to do is. Yeah, all you got to do is you have it, you call us, we'll tell you whether or not you qualify.
Yep.
You can call us at 601-908.
Yep, exactly. Or 662-908. I did find this pretty funny. We were talking about toilet paper in houses. Had a friend in texter on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395, said, a friend of mine always thought that Christmas was an appropriate time to roll a yard. That way the victim would have a white Christmas.
Okay.
They're just a giver. That person's just a giver is what they are. So they're just, being very thoughtful.
I doubt the eggings are happening much anymore, though.
Who has the money for that?
Well,
they do that. Huh?
Well, you do think about, like, my neighbor who got rolled, well, they had a Ring camera. And so they knew who it was because they were doing it around the house, around the front door, so they saw the boys on the Ring camera. So
you might as well just have monogram toilet paper and use what you brought from the house if they know who it is.
Yeah. So it's a different.
So who actually put the dog stuff in a napkin and set it on fire and rang the doorbell?
Guarantee you Cooper Miles did that.
Yep. I did not. I had a friend who did. I did not.
I actually did that.
Really? I never did that. Mm-mm. No, that's bad enough. I don't like cleaning up my own dog's stuff right now. I wasn't going to go just pick up some random and do it. So, best question here. We did get a texter who kind of followed up on the PFAS. It says, how do you find out if your water system has PFAS? Well, of course, every water system has to give their report. I mean, you can just do a Google search about your water system, and it will give you, what's out there.
I remember seeing a
FDA has
spreadsheet
a report of the water systems too.
Yeah.
If you go to the FDA or look up on the internet, it will tell you how high the forever chemical is in your water system or the water systems. But it'll give you a list of those.
Yeah.
If your water system is a deep well, then there's a higher chance that you don't have it. But if it's a shallow well or it's just a regular water system, there could be a real high probability you have it. You look on the website, FDA website, and they will list you all the water systems that have it.
Yeah.
And the percentages.
Yep. And then Larry just asked, he goes, what were the PFAS chemicals used for? Larry, the list just goes on and on. Teflon, coating in clothing, firefighting foam. It is a number of things that you use on a daily basis. Exactly.
A hamburger wrapper. What it does, it makes things not stick.
Yep.
A hamburger wrapper has it in it. Anything that keeps things from sticking, it's in pretty much everything you can think of. That chemical is in it, and it's just a chemical that will not go away. And if it creeps into the water system, then obviously it stays in the water system, and you drink it, and that's what the problem is.
Yeah, and thus why it's called the forever chemical. But I know we got a caller on the phone. So.
We do have Bob on. He wanted to ask you a question about some legal stuff regarding the employment world.
Gotcha. Good morning, Bob.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, Richie, do y'all drink that Jackson water over there?
Unfortunately, we do. Yeah.
Okay.
You try to filter all you can, but you're stuck with it.
Be careful with it. Hey, look, y'all were talking about wrestling. I know, Richie, you may want to get Charlotte Flair or Mickey James or AJ Mendez or Rhea Ripley to keep your men in line over there that work for you, because I know.
I think that's a great idea, Bob.
I know you got to get Brent. Keep real Brent in every now and then.
Yeah, but see, Bob, you're going new school. You're not thinking about Stacy Keibler or Trish Stratus. That's kind of the old school one. So
I've never heard of any of these names.
Now, I will tell you, Brent is a huge wrestling fan.
It's true.
Well, those are the girls. Some of the girls and the new girls for them. They'll keep them in line once it gets out of line, working for you, Richie, and all the other guys. Hey, Richie, the big question today is the thousands of federal employees that are being laid off and the downsizing of the federal government, and with several other things going on. But can you tell me, in y'all's professional opinion, do you have a right to fire thousands of employees that a lot of them work from home? Maybe a lot of them don't do much and get a paycheck. And obviously that's what's going on. Is there a right? Do they have a right to fire thousands of employees and reorganize departments in order to become more efficient and more effective?
Well, some departments are clearly not within the bounds of the president. So some departments are bound by the Congress or their self-independence, like the post office it's written in the law that you shall have a post office that is paid by the federal government. And they want to fire the employees or go private, and he doesn't have the authority to do that. So there's some circumstances like that. But I'm not sure he's firing as many people as he's saying, I will buy you out if you retire. So I'm not a positive on that situation, because firing people, he does have the power to fire some people. But most agencies are pretty much independent. So I'm not sure he has the authority to do that. And I'm no expert in that. Do y'all know anything on that?
Hadn't brushed up on my federal employment law lately.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, I mean, you just have to look at the powers that are enumerated to each branch and what they have authority over them to do and what they don't. I think there may be some boundaries being pushed here and there, but that's why there's other branches to take a look and say, hey, this is in our wheelhouse and this is what we're doing. But I think as just a citizen who pays taxes, I want to know that my taxes are going to people who are working hard, and there's plenty of federal employees that work hard and do a great job at what they do. But to have some oversight and responsibility to make sure that's going on.
Yeah.
Hey, Richie, one last quick point. When you cut the federal government because Mississippi and other states are heavily subsidized states, what that does is that has a ripple down effect to state government, county, city government. So what you're going to have a lot of people that are laid off on those levels, which is just a trickle down effect. And do you agree with that's going to have a lot of impact or more impact on things in the state of Mississippi?
Well, anytime you lay anybody off, that adds to unemployment, which adds to someone who can't purchase the items, which hurts the economy. I'm not saying that people shouldn't get laid off or aren't going to be laid off. I'm just saying, yeah, it will definitely have a ripple effect in many ways, not just to help for people who are poor and need help, but also the people who try to help them and who now are unemployed, and they may be in that situation. So, yeah, there's no question. Anything you do, you're going to have an effect of some sort. So what that will be and how many he can lay off, I don't know the answer to that yet. We'll just have to wait and see.
That's funny. Well, you are listening to the Schwartz & Associates Injury Lawyers Legal Power Hour as we power through the fourth and final segment here on your radio dial on the 24th day of February. So get to a couple more things before I'm going to hit y'all with a couple trivia questions out the door. But we'll get real quick. It's normal questions we get all the time. People will call in, and we appreciate the thousands of people who call us. But invariably, it's like, why do I need to hire you all? It's like, why can't I do it with the insurance company myself following a car wreck? So what's our sales pitch? Why do they need to hire Schwartz & Associates?
Well, a lot of times,
you wouldn't hire an electrician to do your plumbing because they wouldn't know what to do. Second off, there are studies by insurance companies that say if you hire an attorney who knows what they're doing, you're going to get 3 to 4 times more money. So those are good reasons. But if you want to deal directly with the insurance company, the first thing I would, or if it's the other party's insurance, I wouldn't give them a statement about anything. Once they record you, they'll ask you questions. And we have something in Mississippi called comparative negligence. And if you say anything that could hurt your case, they won't have to pay you 100% of the case. And based on a true story, this guy who hired us, they asked him how fast he was going. He said, well, I think I was going 35. He said, so you were speeding. The speed limit's 30. We don't have to pay you 100% of the case. So it's much easier and better if you have another person talk on your behalf. That way you're not recorded, you're not saying something. Let that attorney do the talk, understand the law, and protect your rights. So it's definitely a good reason to hire an attorney, hopefully us.
Okay. What were you going to say, Zach?
Well, I mean, he mentioned the studies that, attorneys get you 3 to 4 times more. If they're dealing directly with an individual, they know they're not going to file a suit in court.
Yep.
They can't. So, that's a big part of it right there.
Yeah, you don't have any leverage.
Right.
If you try to do it yourself, you have no leverage.
Correct.
That's for sure.
Well, that goes into the negotiation process. Like if you're going to talk to the insurance company, what are you going to tell them? Ow, I hurt. Ooh, I this. Whereas generally when I talk to them, it's I'm going to prove this. I'm going to go show this in court. we can try to work something out now, or that's the direction we're going to head. And
Yep.
again, like y'all were saying, it just gives a little, more credence to what's going on, because they have to know in the back of their mind, we can go file a lawsuit. And I have shown you evidence that I have that I'll be presenting or something like that.
Yeah, good point. Very good. All right, interesting anomaly this Friday if you're one to look at the stars. I've never owned a telescope. It's actually on my list. I've asked for one for Christmas. Never gotten one. 7 planets are going to be aligned this Friday, which rarely happens. So you've got Saturn, Mercury, Neptune, Venus, Uranus, Jupiter, and Mars. Like literally they said are like almost in a straight line Friday night. So if you're into that kind of
you
thing.
see like 4 of them without a telescope, right?
Yeah, and
then
then
you need the other 3.
Yeah, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
Pretty
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
Now, is Pluto there, but it's not a planet anymore?
Yeah,
so they're just
it's
saying
an
it's
ice
not?
dwarf.
It's a
or
dwarf
something.
planet.
It's a planet, man.
they
It's been a
say.
planet most of my life.
I agree with you. It's
Planet
like,
X.
what did it do to get taken off the list?
It was a cartoon figure.
I blame Neil deGrasse Tyson
That's right. There you go.
for no reason whatsoever.
All right, so I'm going to ask you this. We'll piggyback off of that. So which planet in our solar system has the longest day?
Mercury.
Wrong.
Let's see.
Saturn, I'd say.
That's wrong.
Jupiter.
Nope, Jupiter's 10
Wrong.
hours. I'm going to go.
The sun?
That's not. No.
It's daytime all the time on the sun. Let's go with. I'm going to go with Venus.
And we have a winner. Venus has the longest day of any planet in our solar system. It takes about 243 Earth days for Venus to spin around just once.
Well, it's a slowpoke. Huh?
I mean, that thing is creeping.
They need to get up to speed.
What do I win?
Yeah. There's water and soft drinks as you leave the studio. You can
delicious.
have any of your choice is what
Delicious.
you can win. All right, we'll throw a couple more out there. What is the only food? You own a restaurant, Cooper. What is the only food that doesn't expire?
Milk.
Water.
No.
I mean, come on, it doesn't.
Honey.
Honey. Richard got
Sure,
it
it
right.
is honey,
Honey.
yeah.
It is.
Wow.
It is honey. Man, I love honey too.
And we have honey at the Mermaid Cafe,
yeah, that's
Lake
right.
Caroline.
Free plug. That's right.
Great food.
And then all right.
Locally sourced.
That's right.
Actually, I had someone from the neighborhood come in, and she keeps bees, and was like, "This is my honey. If y'all want to use it."
I mean, honey's so good. It is. I love honey. All right, what 2 countries share the longest international border?
Canada and the U.S.
There you go. Look at you. And Trivial Pursuit is right up Cooper's wheelhouse. I like that. And then we'll ask one more. You can't answer this one,
All
Cooper,
right.
because you're a music guy, too. Pete Best was the original drummer for which famous band? Pete Best was the original drummer for which famous band?
Rolling Stones.
Nope, that's a great guess. Got to give me something, Zach.
I have no idea. AC/DC.
No. Do you know it, Cooper?
I don't.
The Beatles.
Really?
Almost
Got
said
rid of
the
Ringo.
Before
Ringo.
Ringo,
It was the
here's the
Beatles.
yep, he was the drummer for 2 years, and he was booted in 1962, and it's the next year when they became a phenomenon.
Oh no.
I mean, well, poor Pete Best. But if you need us, you can always reach us at 601 or 662-988-8888 for car wrecks, slip and falls, on-the-job injuries, Social Security disability. We're just one call away. One call, that's all. Schwartz and Associates Injury Lawyers. We appreciate you listening. We'll be back here next Monday.